Cathy Engelbert stood at the podium with the league in flames and somehow made it worse. In her first public comments since Nafisa Collier's damning accusations, Engelbert offered nothing but vague platitudes and strategic avoidance. She wouldn't even say Caitlin Clark's name. The performance wasn't just tone-deaf, it was calculated silence. And it told everyone exactly what they needed to know. The WNBA is in the middle of a full-blown leadership crisis.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Collier had already cracked the dam. Her public statement didn't hold back, accusing the league of failing to protect players, sidelining stars like Clark, and ignoring rising injury concerns. Her words echoed across locker rooms, and the response was swift. Aya Wilson, Lexi Hull, and Elena Del Don didn't just nod in agreement. They joined the call-out. These aren't fringe voices. They're the foundation of the league, and they're done playing nice. Instead of reassurance, Engelbert offered indifference. While players are talking about fairness, health, and basic respect, the commissioner was busy playing defense, trying to protect the league's image instead of addressing its problems. The result? Even more distrust, even more public outrage. Engelbert's refusal to confront the allegations directly wasn't just a bad look. It confirmed the very disconnect Collier warned about. This goes beyond bad PR. The league's injury rate is climbing fast, up nearly 36%, and players are raising the alarm. But they're being met with silence or spin. Off the court, fans and analysts have started to question who the WNBA is really serving. Its athletes or its corporate structure. And at the top of that structure sits Adam Silver. Engelbert reports straight to him, which means this isn't just her problem anymore. Now, Silver is watching from the wings as the league unravels in public. The idea of him stepping in to replace Engelbert is no longer hypothetical. It's a growing possibility. The league's credibility is hanging by a thread. Trust between players and leadership has been broken, and no amount of branding can fix it. Wilson, Hull, Del Don, Collier, they've made it clear they want change. Real, structural change. Not a press release. Not a marketing campaign. But leadership that actually listens. The WNBA has never had more visibility. But without trust, respect, and accountability, it won't last. This isn't just a scandal. It's a crossroads, and it's Cathy Engelbert's name at the center of it. The WNBA is in crisis, and this time, there's no spinning out of it. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has officially lost the locker room, lost the media, and is rapidly losing the trust of the fans. Her latest press conference, meant to reassure the public and respond to Nafisa Collier's bombshell accusations, did the opposite. It confirmed every fear that players, coaches, and critics have been voicing for months. The league's leadership is completely out of touch with reality. Let's break this down. It all started with Nafisa Collier's now viral exit interview. She didn't mince words. She questioned the league's treatment of star players. Yes, including Caitlin Clark. She pointed to a growing divide between the players and the front office. And she called out the league's leadership for prioritizing image over substance. Her comments were direct, unfiltered, and honest. Then came the backlash, not toward Collier, but toward Engelbert. When the commissioner finally responded, fans were expecting accountability. Instead, they got deflection. A press conference full of vague, rehearsed answers that completely sidestepped the core issues. Engelbert didn't deny Collier's claims. She didn't acknowledge them, either. She avoided the words Caitlin Clark entirely. The result? A credibility meltdown that played out in real time across social media, sports networks, and player feeds. Engelbert didn't just miss the moment. She exposed a deeper truth. This isn't about one player's frustration. It's about a league-wide leadership failure. And the players are done staying silent. Within hours, top-tier players like Aya Wilson, Elena Del Don, and Lexi Hull made it crystal clear. They stand with Collier. And they're not backing down. This isn't just symbolic support. This is the league's core talent pool forming a united front against its commissioner. Let's be honest. That kind of public, collective stance doesn't happen unless something has been festering behind the scenes for a long time. These aren't fringe voices. These are all-stars, MVPs, Olympians. They've seen how this league operates, and now they're calling it out. And what makes this controversy even more serious? Engelbert's role isn't independent. She reports directly to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. That connection to the NBA corporate structure means this leadership crisis has implications far beyond one league. Sponsors are watching. Broadcasters are reevaluating. And if Silver sees Engelbert as a risk to long-term brand value, he will intervene. Because make no mistake, this isn't a one-off PR blunder. This is a full-blown leadership collapse. Collier's comments were a tipping point, but the issues go deeper. Let's talk about player safety. Injuries in the league are up between 29 to 36% in recent years. Players are burning out. Schedules are packed. Conditions are worsening. And yet, the league's leadership continues to brush off concerns with corporate buzzwords instead of real solutions. This is why the players no longer trust the system. They see leadership focused on maintaining control, not protecting athletes. And when that mistrust hits a breaking point, it becomes public. It becomes loud. It becomes organized. And now, that's exactly what we're seeing. Engelbert had a chance to de-escalate. She could have acknowledged Collier's concerns, promised a dialogue, and taken responsibility for her role in the growing disconnect. Instead, she played the victim. She framed the backlash as unfair. She implied that criticism of her leadership was somehow undeserved. That's when a situation really flipped. Because once a leader loses the trust of their team and responds by deflecting instead of engaging, they're no longer seen as a leader. They're seen as a liability. The press conference didn't calm the storm. It turned it into a movement. Players across the league are speaking out, not just in support of Collier, but against the culture of silence and spin that Engelbert has come to represent. Coaches are echoing the frustration. And fans? They've seen the difference between authenticity and PR spin. They're not buying what the league is selling anymore. This isn't just about Engelbert's comments. It's about how deeply disconnected the league has become from the athletes who built it. The WNBA markets itself as progressive, athlete-centered, and empowering. But when push came to shove, when one of its own stars demanded answers, the league's top executive acted like she didn't hear the question. And now, she's facing the consequences. The ties to the NBA only heighten the stakes. Adam Silver has to make a choice. Does he stand behind a commissioner who's lost the confidence of her players? Or does he step in and start reshaping the league's culture from the top down? Right now, everything points to intervention being inevitable, because the alternative is untenable. A league can't grow when its players are united against the front office. It can't expand its fan base when its most recognizable stars are airing their grievances in post-game interviews. And it absolutely cannot thrive when its leadership is hiding behind prepared statements while the foundation cracks beneath them. Let's be clear, Napheesa Collier didn't cause this crisis. She revealed it. She said out loud what players have been feeling for months, maybe years. And the flood of support she received proves just how widespread those feelings are. If Engelbert thought she could weather this storm with silence, she underestimated the moment and the movement. And let's not forget the timing. This is all unfolding just as the league prepares for collective bargaining agreement negotiations. That means the players have leverage, real leverage. And after this, you can bet they'll use it. They've seen how leadership responds when challenged. They've seen how easily concerns are dismissed. And they're not going to walk into another round of negotiations asking for surface-level changes. They're walking and demanding structural reform, real safety protocols, real accountability, real leadership. This is the line in the sand. And if Engelbert can't cross it with humility, she won't be crossing at all. This moment isn't about canceling a commissioner. It's about demanding better. Better communication, better conditions, better representation. Because the WNBA isn't just a sports league anymore. It's a cultural force. And it deserves leadership that understands that responsibility. So where does this go next? If Engelbert continues to deflect, the pressure will only grow. More players will speak. More fans will disengage. Sponsors will start asking questions. And Adam Silver will have no choice but to make a change, whether publicly or quietly behind the scenes. The alternative? A league that continues to market empowerment while silencing the empowered. And nobody's buying that anymore. So, the message is clear. It's time for leadership that leads. Because this moment will define the future of the WNBA. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Cathy Engelbert should step down? Should Adam Silver take control of the situation? What needs to change to restore trust between players and league leadership? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Be loud. Be clear. Because change doesn't come from the top. It comes when the people demand it. And if you want more raw, unfiltered breakdowns of the biggest sports controversies, public flops, and leadership implosions, hit that subscribe button. Because when the power starts crumbling, you know we'll be right here calling it out. Cathy Engelbert's downfall isn't just about one press conference. It's about a slow, steady erosion of trust that's been building under the surface for a long time. The Collier controversy didn't start the fire. It just finally lit the match. Let's not forget the optics here. A commissioner facing questions about transparency and the treatment of one of the league's most valuable assets, Caitlin Clark, and failing to provide any direct answers? That's not just a missed opportunity. That's a red flag waving in broad daylight. And when Engelbert decided to act like the criticism was personal rather than professional, when she framed the backlash as a misunderstanding instead of a leadership failure, she told everyone watching exactly what kind of commissioner she really is. Defensive, disconnected, and dangerously unaware of how deep the frustration has gotten. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark. She's not just a talented rookie, she's a phenomenon. Whether the league wants to admit it or not, she's brought in a wave of attention, media coverage, and fans the WNBA hasn't seen in decades. And yet, somehow, the league has failed to manage the conversation around her with any kind of grace or strategy. Instead of embracing her popularity and using it as a platform to uplift all players, league leadership has stumbled through controversy after controversy, treating every question about Clark like it's a trap. But it's not a trap. It's reality. Caitlin Clark is part of the league now. And when players like Nafisa Collier bring up legitimate concerns about how she's being handled, how the media narrative is weaponized, how league leadership is choosing who to spotlight, it's not an attack. It's an invitation to do better. But Engelbert didn't do better. She shut down. She stonewalled. And now the players are responding not with quiet discontent, but with unity. Because this goes way beyond Clark. She's just the latest example of a much larger issue. An issue where the league puts optics over integrity, PR over player well-being, and loyalty to corporate strategy over loyalty to the athletes who actually make the game. And let's talk numbers because they matter. Injuries are up by over 30%. Players are playing through punishing schedules. They're flying commercial. They're dealing with rushed turnarounds and questionable officiating. And the league's response? Silence. Shrug. Spin. The fact that this commissioner thought she could dodge all of this with a few vague lines at a press conference tells you everything you need to know about how insulated league leadership has become from the reality on the ground. But that insulation is cracking. Fast. Players aren't afraid anymore. Not a backlash. Not of fines. Not of media narratives. The social contract that used to keep stars quiet, to smile through the dysfunction, is broken. And the wave of public support for Collier proves it. When Aya Wilson, one of the most dominant players in the league, stands up and says enough, people listen. When Elena Del Don, a two-time MVP, publicly aligns herself with the criticism, that's not just tea. That's a statement. These women are veterans. They've been through it. And if they're standing on that side of the line, you better believe they're not alone. This is no longer a players versus management issue. It's players versus leadership failure. And let's revisit the NBA connection again. Because yes, Cathy Engelbert reports to Adam Silver. And that's not just symbolic. That's structural. That means Silver has not only the authority, but the responsibility to step in when leadership jeopardizes the league's growth, image, and relationships. And if there's anything that undermines confidence faster than a failing commissioner, it's the perception that no one's willing to fix it. Sponsors are watching. Investors are watching. Casual fans who discovered the WNBA through Caitlin Clark, they're watching too. And when they see star players airing dirty laundry while the commissioner pretends everything's fine, they're not thinking leadership. They're thinking chaos. Silver knows how fragile public trust can be. He saw what happened in the NBA when issues like this weren't addressed early. And while he's known for being patient, he's also known for making bold moves when the stakes are high. Right now, the stakes are very high. We're heading into a new era. The WNBA is in the middle of a long overdue visibility surge. Interest is at an all-time high. Young fans are paying attention. New revenue opportunities are on the table. And yet, the person at the top is fumbling through basic questions like this is her first week on the job. That's unacceptable, because leadership at this level is about trust. And when players feel unheard, when fans feel misled, when the media senses defensiveness instead of direction, leadership has already failed. It's not just that Engelbert didn't handle the Collier press conference well. It's that she revealed a culture where no one in charge seems to understand what accountability actually looks like. And the players? They're not asking for perfection. They're asking for honesty, for strategy, for leadership that sees them not as obstacles to navigate, but as the core of what makes this league matter. When Nafisa Collier said what she said, it wasn't a mic drop. It was a lifeline, a chance for the league to course correct before things got worse. But Engelbert didn't grab that chance. She recoiled. She played the victim. And now she's watching the support crumble from underneath her. The CBA is coming. The players will have a seat at the table. And they won't be negotiating from a place of politeness. They'll be negotiating with receipts, with evidence, with the public on their side. And unless something changes dramatically, Cathy Engelbert won't be the one leading those negotiations. She can't be. Not when the locker room doesn't trust her. Not when the stars of the league are calling her out. Not when her every word is met with skepticism. That's not leadership. That's survival. And survival isn't good enough anymore. So what's next? Adam Silver has a decision to make. The players already made theirs. And the fans? They're choosing sides whether the league likes it or not. This could be the moment the WNBA finally pivots toward athlete-led leadership. A league where the commissioner doesn't just answer questions, but listens. Where criticism isn't seen as an attack, but as a sign of players caring enough to demand better. Or it could be the moment the league lets a golden opportunity slip through its fingers again. It's not too late to fix this, but that starts with removing the barrier. And right now, that barrier is Cathy Engelbert. Let's call it what it is. Cathy Engelbert is no longer the commissioner of the players. She's the commissioner of crisis control. Every press conference, every statement, every strategic non-answer just reinforces the obvious. This isn't about basketball anymore. It's about survival. For her leadership, for the credibility of the office she holds. And no matter how carefully she chooses her words or how many PR-trained answers she repeats, the reality she's avoiding is crashing down harder with every player who goes on record. Because the players? They're not just fed up, they're organized. This isn't isolated noise. This is a shift, a momentum swing that Engelbert didn't see coming and clearly doesn't know how to stop. It's not just Collier lighting the fuse, it's Wilson, Del Don, Hull, and more backing her up. Players across teams, across experience levels, across backgrounds are stepping forward and saying the same thing. This league doesn't listen to us. It markets our faces but ignores our voices. It profits off our pain but won't protect our safety. That's not a small criticism. That's a cultural indictment. And now the commissioner's credibility is so far in the red. Even her own words work against her. Her refusal to acknowledge specific concerns has backfired spectacularly. Instead of calming the storm, she made it clear she doesn't understand the scale of it. This is why her leadership is so hard to take seriously. Not just because it's ineffective, but because it's inauthentic. Take the players' safety issue. Injuries are rising. Everyone sees it. It's not speculative, it's statistical. Players are pushing through brutal travel schedules, non-stop back-to-backs, and still being expected to show up, perform, and smile for the cameras. And yet Engelbert's response hasn't been urgency. It's been defensiveness. She points to growth, expansion, new markets. Great. But how does that help the players who are burning out right now? How does that address a 30% spike in injuries? How does that show any respect for the fact that some of the league's best talent is limping through the season with little to no structural support? It doesn't, and the players are sick of it. The empty promises, the vague commitments to do better, the failure to say anything real when the moment demands it. Engelbert had a shot to step up, not to be perfect, but to be present, to look the public in the eye and acknowledge that yes, the players have valid concerns. That yes, leadership might have made mistakes. That yes, this is a league that's growing but also struggling, and that the players deserve more than platitudes. Instead, she played it safe. Safe to the point of cowardice. And now she's shocked that no one's rallying behind her. The truth is you don't get to lead a league like this. Not anymore. If you can't handle transparency. This generation of athletes is done with this silent treatment. They want clarity. They want change. And more than anything, they want accountability. Engelbert has shown none. And when a commissioner loses the players, the media, and the fans, there's only one group left: ownership. And they're next. Because owners don't care about protecting egos. They care about profitability, stability, growth. And when the league's highest paid players are making headlines for criticizing the front office, that's not stability. That's risk. Sponsors see it. Networks see it. And if Adam Silver's watching, and you know he is, then it's just a matter of time before a private conversation becomes a very public shakeup. Let's also not forget the bigger picture. The WNBA is on the cusp of a media and cultural breakthrough. The interest is there. The money is coming in. The audience is growing. Caitlin Clark brought a whole new wave of fans, but the rest of the players kept them engaged. And yet, the league can't seem to turn momentum into infrastructure, because the person at the top is still fumbling the basics, like how to respond to legitimate criticism without sounding like she's reading off a crisis response memo. Leadership isn't about weathering the storm. It's about earning the right to lead through it. Engelbert hasn't earned that right. So here we are, a commissioner out of sync, a locker room unified in its discontent, a fan base watching it all unfold in real time, and a looming collective bargaining negotiation that will determine whether this league continues to evolve or collapses under the weight of its own internal silence. The players have shown up. They've spoken clearly. They've put their reputations on the line. The question now isn't, will Cathy Engelbert change? The question is, why should anyone believe she can? So tell us, should Engelbert be replaced before the next CBA is negotiated? Should Adam Silver step in and clear house now while there's still time to rebuild trust? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe if you're following every twist of this unraveling drama, because this isn't just a commissioner under fire. It's a league at crossroads, and the clock is ticking.